who are using the Kenya Kwanza government. So what if these people can now use the same thing and create crisis in our country? I want to say this, that I believe that within the Kenya Kwanza government, we still have some people who love this country. We still have some patriots within the Kenya Kwanza government. I will just say that let them not allow this leadership we have to put this country in a crisis that we might not want to find ourselves in. We can say that in Kenya, for the longest time, we've been a very peaceful nation. And for that, if not for anything, if not for corruption, many people will love to come and invest in Kenya.
We are such a beautiful, endowed with so many things.
Unlike our neighboring country, let's go to what is happening in our neighboring country, Tanzania. They are also heading into election.
Yes, they've banned the opposition.
The topmost opposition party in this country have been banned. You know, if that was, we love the democracy in our country, something that cannot happen in Kenya. Look at what is happening in Uganda. Okay? The opposition leader in Uganda is still in jail. Okay? Again, arrested in Kenya. Okay? So, President Ruto and this administration, let them not be selfish. Let them think of this country. And I want to believe that the patriots within the Kenya Kwanza government who love this nation at heart should not allow this Kenya Kwanza government to put our country to the garbage where we don't want to. Because as it is now, the interference with the sovereignty of the people of Sudan is not good for this country. There is nothing that the Kenyan people and the Kenyan government stand to gain from the crisis happening in Sudan.
And maybe the other question we can ask, because now we interfering, you two alluded to the same, we have our tentacles in Sudan, we have our tentacles in DRC, we have our tentacles in Haiti. So the $1 million question, when you look at the good of the country or what the country stands to benefit, what do we stand to benefit from DRC? What do we stand to benefit by having our forces in Haiti? Initially, I actually supported the Haiti initiative because I thought, okay, these guys are killing one another and they believe that they hate whites, they believe only Africans. Actually, in Haiti, you can go and live there. If you're a black man, they won't give you any problem. You go there, you'll get residence. They won't harass you. So I thought, okay, maybe it's because these guys are blacks and they accept blacks so easily. So that's the reason why we are going to help these guys out. But now you start asking yourself, okay, the tentacles are getting longer and they're increasing.
You know, without involving ourselves with the racial demon that that reigns, especially in America, Haiti would have been helped, either led by the U.S., countries like Brazil, which have got blacks, many other countries, they could use the Jamaican police force if they could. What I'm trying to say is that it's a far distance for us to leave Kenya, cross Atlantic, go to Haiti, and imagine we are going to make an impact in such a place. And the funders are just next door, the U.S. You know, the deal that was there was being funded by the former U.S. President Joe Biden. But at the exit of Joe Biden, Trump is not supporting that whole project. Yet they were the major contributors to the United Nations for this cause. Okay. Now, when they withdraw that one, it means more is to be dug from the Kenya's consolidated fund to keep our military there. And you had the president declare that we are not leaving. We have
actually spent, I think, 5-point-something billion on
yes. And you can imagine the ailing of our health sector, ailing of our education sector, ailing of our infrastructural sector. I mean, all our systems are stalling because of this kind of interference. At the inception of this new government, we had already stepped into Congo as peacekeepers. And all of a sudden we discovered there's Uganda, there's Rwanda that are involved. And you see, the bilateral relations were being dented as a result of our presence in Congo. So we had to withdraw because we went there thinking that we are friends of Tshisekedi, but we would have gone there as mediators between Tshisekedi and the M23. Let's understand what is going on and begin to sort from that point, as we did with the issue of Sudan. During al-Bashir and Mwai Kibaki, where Kalonzo Musyoka was specially used in the mediation until the independence of the South Sudan. Now, what you're trying to say is that when you're invited, it becomes easy. Yes. Even during the Uhuru's regime, the establishment of the Somali government was as a result of the people who are willing to have Somali be at peace. And the transition government that was formed invited the government of Kenya to assist, and even including the training of their forces was actually done by the Kenyan forces. And that's what I'm saying. When it's bilaterally done, then it becomes easier. What we are doing right now is not really out of bilateral. We're dismissing the sitting government, and that's why I'm saying the people who support the sitting government and the ones who are opposing, we are not supposed to take sides. We're supposed to unite them. So where we're coming in is that the government of Kenya should be well advised. We have embassies in these countries, and I think it is time we use those embassies and our intelligence through those embassies. We're able to gather enough information to advise State House, and State House should have a credible link with the Parliament, you know, the National Assembly and other organs, the Senate, the military. Of course, they discuss from the cabinet and they could pass these things. But I think it's a time now we begin to involve even the National Assembly, maybe through certain security committees to discuss these issues so that we can offer adequate advice. If you look at the National Assembly today, I think National Assembly is part of the problem, because the National Assembly was literally swallowed by the executive. It's just a fingerprinter of the executives, whatever they say.
Whatever they are doing.
Yes. But if you allow me, if the National Assembly was to do its work accordingly, that's what I meant, there is a Department of Security that would be offering this advice, because security issues cannot be publicly debated. You understand? It can be put in the plenary. But you have that Security Council, which would liaise with on behalf of the National Assembly, which would liaise with the cabinet, which has the National Security Council in it, to be advised well, so that they can tell the Commander-in-Chief of the Kenya Defence Force what to do, what to say, how to carry himself, and both that here and out there. The consequences of the moves that we are taking. Absolutely. And that is why I'm saying that it's supposed to be a concerted effort of our relevant organs. Yeah.
You know what, Fred? I believe that one quality of a leader is to offer solution to the problem and not to be part of the problem. What we are doing as a nation is that we are being part of the problem instead of offering solutions. My senior already said that during the Uhuru regime, if you look at the peace mission in Somalia, it was a multi-agency mission. It was not a Kenyan affairs. Initially, it was a Kenyan affair. Then they were usurped by the UNAMIS into now, which was led by the United Nations. But it's after Kenya had stabilized. Yes, but if you look at the whole arrangement, it was like a solution offering arrangement. It was not that Kenyans were to be part of the problem the Somalians were facing, but they went there to offer solution. That is why it was even so easier for other multi-agency to join forces and say, now let's join forces. But now what the Kenya Kwanza government is doing now is that if you look at what is happening in Sudan, what happened in Congo, they are actually part of the problem these people are facing. Because tell me, how will you tell me that you are not part of the problem when you are hosting a rebel group of that government to form an alternative government, whereby a country will be run by two governments? We only see that in Kenya in one county, whereby we had 2 county assemblies. That is Nyamira.
That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
So I think at this point, The Kenyan government, if Ruto want to sell Kenyans as a country, let him become the Kenyan ambassador, the brand ambassador of Kenya. And he should not take part on the problem other nations are facing. Let him come up as a solution, okay? He come up with those two groups, the RF and the Somalian government, and now try to offer solution to the people of Sudan. Having said that, Murithi talk of the advisors of the president. What I always tend to ask myself, including the National Assembly, are these people advising the president, or is the president advising them? You can have advisors,
yes,
but instead of them advising you,
you're advising them.
I'm advising them. Okay? This is the same person who acknowledge that there are some forces, there are some incompetent people within my government whom I know so much more than them, but I will still keep them. So, are you the one advising them? Look at the kind of the National Assembly we have. We've elected 290. Out of the 290, I can say that we have some around 10, 15 MPs who still have their senses intact. The rest are just praise and worship team. Okay? That is why
praise and worship team for the president.
Yes, and the government. They cannot even think of themselves. Okay? They're just praising. They don't know even what they are praising. Sometimes I listen to what Junet is saying, then you ask yourself, no, these are the kind of leaders we have in this country.
Advisors.
Okay? That's why the other time I was telling you, Fred, that for us as Kenyans, it is time for us to take back our country. Okay? And any reasonable Kenyan will agree with me that this coming election, the 2027 election, let us not vote with our emotions, but let us use this opportunity to take back our country and even elect MPs, starting from MCAs to the president. Because if we have a parliament that is working, okay? If we will have a parliament that is working, we cannot be where we are. Okay? We have the Committee of Security within the parliament. When all these things are happening, where are they? And what do they say? Just as you say, we were saying that the UN are silenced, the United States are silenced about the RFA things. The same thing, even our security agencies are silent. Yes. Okay? I've not even heard of them. The other time I saw the Inspector General is so comfortable to go on a political rally to address people on an official uniform, but cannot even question why a rebel group of another government is in the country holding who even authorized that meeting. So they are very comfortable with it. Okay? Our Chief of Defense is so much comfortable to come out and tell Kenyans to stop chanting Ruto must go, but does not even see anything wrong with our country involving itself with the affairs of another country and the sovereignty of another country. Okay? This just tell me one thing, that these people who are serving under this government have just been captured by the state that they don't even have their voices. They are just there to be seen but not to be heard.
Yeah.
Okay? That is the sad state we are as a country.
Now, as we switch, we look at corruption.
Yes.
You know, the issue with 2 county assemblies is the highest level of corruption I've ever seen. Then you have what we are being told.
Both demanding a budget.
Yes. Then we have what we are seeing now, that what tourists were paying as e-visas, and remember this was put in place to stop corruption so that you don't have people handling money. But now, instead of that money going straight to the consolidated fund, it goes to some private accounts in the Swiss. What boldness, what corrupt boldness is this?
You know, introducing Switzerland to this story, it is a land that is neutral. And it does not involve itself, it doesn't care to know what happens in your country.
Yes.
So whether it's looted money coming into their country,
as long as you
as long as you don't interfere with their peace, which was signed in 1815, you are friendly to Switzerland. That's why the Swiss accounts are very famous, because it's a neutral place. That's where Hitler would take his gold after robbing from other countries that they were tormenting before the Second World War. We know that history, and since that time, Switzerland, the Swiss banks, they've been used by foreign countries because these are places that you don't go to take your national issues to such a country. Yes. I don't know whether we have diplomatic relations with Switzerland. I don't know, but I think could be. But that is where you don't really interfere because of that kind of charter that was signed after the Napoleon War with the whatever French and the guys from that area. It's a history that is behind that one. Now, that's why they have to hide that money in that place, because as they complain, is that the bureaucracy in our system to have that money back again to their hands becomes a bit tricky. But let me now try to...
Should we probably publicly acknowledge that corruption is part and parcel of this country?
It is.
So that we legalize it.
No.
Just legalize the bloody thing, because what is happening, it's happening from the highest to the lowest.
Yeah. It's actually happening, it's happening in broad daylight. But look at it this way. Every deal that is being negotiated out there, there is a percentage of a commission that should come from that money. So how do you get it through via your consolidated systems? Consolidated bank system.
There's interest.
There's interest, of course.
Yes,
what they call the commission.
Yes, and you're talking
and other interest, because when they were doing their math that this is what we need for whatever project that we are borrowing for, they know what is to be left, what is to be expended, what is to be miscellaneous part of the miscellaneous budget, and that miscellaneous budget must be taken away before it gets into the hands of the government financial management systems. So to do that, they could first take it to the offshore accounts, Panama, wherever, Swiss, and that's how come they do it, because there they can access their private accounts. And that's why we're saying, so sad that this is what is happening. You will never hear EU condemning Switzerland, telling them release the monies that belong to the people of Kenya, the people of Uganda, the people of whichever country, because it belongs to the people, not really to an individual,
yes,
or just a certain leadership. It's the people. So they will not, much as they claim to be fair and just in so many ways, they will never come out and speak like that.
And it's newbies.
It's Africans' money.
It's newbies that take their money to the Swiss.
Thank you. And they use it to borrow and do whatever they want to do in their projects out there. And you can remember even at the death of Mobutu Sese Seko, for some of his foreign accounts, actually all his foreign accounts were actually frozen. Yes. But where did the money go? It wasn't handed over to Tshisekedi or the young Kabila. No, it wasn't. You don't hear that discussion thereafter. So the EU and the other organizations, the US, they would still access.
They access it.
The big owners would access these accounts which you have frozen. You freeze an account for this guy from Philippines. You're not told where the money goes. You freeze the accounts of Manuel Noriega of Panama because he's trying to be so patriotic. We deal with Manuel Noriega and kick him out so that now the Panama account can remain an island for the corrupt. And other islands, Virgin Islands and the like, you cannot interfere with them. This is where such money is taken, and eventually it's accessed by the individuals who would like to access it. Then you can have the little that then you pay for everything. I would
rather they steal it and use it here.
What is happening.
No, you know what, Fred?
It's so sad.
There are some countries in the world that corruption is a serious crime. One of the countries is Vietnam.
Yes.
Where one of our sisters is still held there. Corruption in Vietnam attract a death penalty.
Would probably not have a parliament in Kenya.
Yes, a corruption in Vietnam and some countries attract a death penalty. It's being treated just like murder case. But even as much as corruption has hidden deep into us as a country, in Kenya, corruption get a political reward. If you are corrupt, trust me, you'll be elected a governor or an MP. or even a senator. So in Kenya, we don't punish corrupt officers or corrupt public servants. We reward them with a very lucrative jobs. Okay? Let me give you an example. We are talking about the money being deposited to the Swiss bank from the government of Kenyans. But we can't even talk about an MP who was accused of corruption, found guilty, sentenced to jail, and again get re-elected. Now, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
If those are the kind of...
Where is the problem at? The people or the leaders?
I'm just trying to think that a common mwananchi who struggle coming from a village in Migori County, or someone who went to hospital and cannot access a very good health services, let's say in a village somewhere in Nyandarua County, that kasosho hapo, ameenda tu hospitali kutafuta dawa, but haizi pata dawa because of corruption. This person has got a hope that the member of parliament I elected will at least try to make things work.
Yes.
And now I think of an MP who was elected in somewhere in Western Kenya after being found of corruption. How do you want this MP now to question the government of this corruption? Swiss money, of this e-citizen, e-visa money being deposited to a private account in Swiss bank?
Because he's part and parcel of the cartel.
So I think that as a country, it is time that if we stop so much tukiacha visungu mingi, if we start treating corruption with enough seriousness it deserves, then things will start to change.
We declare international emergency and we start killing people.
No, let's treat corruption just the same way we treat murder cases. And rape cases for the minors. Yeah. You know, today, if you found that as a senior you've raped a minor,
yes,
my friend,
things are bad.
Things are bad. Or you've been charged with a murder case.
Yes.
You know, my senior Muredi will tell you that if you're going to court and you've been charged with a murder case,
yes,
things are not good for you.
Yes.
Okay? Because we know. Then that is the same, I believe that we should approach corruption from that angle. Because the EACC we have...
Waitito is still in remand, right?
Yes. You know, the EACC we have here is a toothless dog.
Yes.
That cannot even bite. Okay? And I think those guys are even more corrupt than corruption itself.
Yes.
I have never seen any cases they've prosecuted to the end we've seen any serious action taken to any corrupt leader in this country. Moreover, you can tell me one. These CACC guys have taken seriously. And we've seen some serious action taken to a corrupt officer. If we can only make an example of an individual, trust me, Fred, corruption will be a thing of the past in this country. But we give these people the morale even to continue to do all this manner of things.
That they can hire good lawyers and get away
exactly.
with it.
And what is happening to the money being deposited to the Swiss account is that, again, we have a leader who only thinks about himself and how to enrich himself. How can I acquire more wealth? How can I be among the top richest guys in the country without even thinking about the Kenyans? If, again, the president, and these questions will now go straight to the president. If the president come up with the e-visa thing to end corruption, how again did this money again find itself to another private account? Okay? Are we solving this problem, or are we even creating more ways to even to steal more? Yeah. So I think the corruption in this country needs to be handled with the
seriousness it deserves.
With the seriousness it deserves.
ODM got, as we bring this to a close, ODM got into the government. ODM was maybe the hope. I wish ODM was still in the opposition. As we know, like Sifuna. Sifuna is the perfect embodiment of what ODM ought to be. But now his bosses and his guys are now in the government, so he can hardly do anything.
Several things. Just to say that,
yes.
Fred,
yes.
You know, there is something that I will never support, or rather I will never subscribe to. If you can't do anything, why are you there? Who forces you to be in ODM?
Yes.
If you feel as a leader, your integrity is at stake where you are. Who stops you from just saying, my friend, enough is enough? Because as a leader, if I'm not, if whatever I'm doing, let me give you an example. You have a very good example in this president of the Burkina Faso president.
Yes.
He says that the France are not doing us any justice, and this thing has to end. Okay? The integrity in you. So why can't you just come? You cannot tell us that I'm not part of it, and you are there, my friend. Okay? You are part of it.
So your thinking is that Sifuna should...
No, Sifuna is part of this, or is part of this ODM. If it is not happy with whatever is happening, the political marriage between ODM and UDA, the best thing to do is just to resign. Come back to the people of Nairobi. If election is there, their people will re-elect him.
Yes.
But let us not develop an excuse, a pattern whereby after we've known that things are not done, then we find a way to divert the Kenyans and play with the mind of the people and create some kind of emotions, blah, blah, blah. It's not helping issues. As I said earlier, that the kind of MPs we have now are just praise and worship team. That's why you find that even those MPs who are so focal, who people look at them and say, these people have got some sense, all of a sudden they've lost their senses and now they've joined
the bandwagon
of praising this government. Okay? Yesterday I saw a very good lawyer. I don't know whether lawyers, sometimes I wonder why lawyers are being referred to as learned friends.
Yes.
Otiendi Amolo,
yes.
A very good lawyer for that matter, apologizing to the president that, we were just against you. Why? What are you apologizing for?
Yeah.
Are things now good? Now that you've joined the government, are now things working?
Mr. Fred,
have we ended corruption?
I understand his position and where he's coming from.
Yes.
I'm just trying to save him from delving so much into their party squabbles, ODM. And I'm suspecting he could have been one day, once upon a time, a member of the ODM whatever.
Yes.
So I know they're being agitated and aggrieved by the people who are coming against the wish and the will of the Right Honorable Prime Minister, and they don't like anybody mentioning the Right Honorable Prime Minister, who is the cleanser of all corruption in this country. After he gets into any government, he begins to support everything like the same praise and worship team he's talking about. But he knows what he has already received to sing such a chorus after leading so many people, even by bloodshed. Then he adopts a position. 2007, 2017, 2022. After you adopt a position, then there you are saying, Waiguru munasema liba pesa gani? And we're talking about 2 billion, 2.9 billion, and then another 7 billion that comes to 9 billion. You're saying now that is nothing. Because you have been approached as the cleanser, and you make it right. When he had the handshake in 2007, the supporters didn't see anything wrong, and those are the Kenyans, the likes of Wesonga, and those who will not see it from a different perspective. When a leader in their political party is trying to say, hey, I think it's time we see things from a different scope, because that is the stand that somebody like Sifuna has taken. Let's see things. It's not because that he was kicked out or anything, but it's because he has chosen to see things, or he had decided to see things differently. The Babu Winos and many others, they will hate them for that reason. But let me tell you, it cannot be. You have not even completed the handshake process, and you've already sanctified Adani as an individual. And the Adani deal, which was forcefully fought against by Kenyans, and there you are supporting it, and now he's in that government. He has not spoken about it. He's not spoken about the ills, even the registration bit, because as he was promised in 1997 that I will leave this seat for you if you support me, and so he allowed the tractor to be swallowed by a rooster. It's the same thing he's done. He's saying, no, allow me. We're using truths.
Yes.
Truths, because the realities, they were there. Today, he has sold out ODM. The whole of Azimio, he has sold it out, but the Azimio members, some of them have decided not to break away. The Martha Karuas, the Uhuru Kenyattas are trying to walk independently as Jubilee. But this deal was meant to be for Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, because he went in as a leader of Azimio. But now it's an ODM affair. What you're trying to say is, why is he so comfortable, again, going there as making it an ODM affair, even after stepping out of what was so questionable, the spending of the Kenya coffers money in the race towards the AU chairmanship, because it was mentioned that in public that it was not less than 13 billion. Okay, then you withdraw from the race, not even completing the race. It means it was kind of like a scheme. Then you come into the government again. The government is talking Adani. The government is talking all these. The Yes Parliament had already passed that the government can borrow as much money as they need for development purposes. Now, these people who are passing it are all corrupt. Allow me. I'm still coming to explain. Allow me. It's my time. I didn't interfere with you. We are going to explain. No. Allow me. He's going to contradict what I'm saying, because one, you picked it from me. I was to explain this thing. I'm coming. Allow me. Yes. Don't justify. You justify in your time. I want to justify in my own time now. This you have granted me. I was coming into the problem with how we deal with corruption. We deal with corruption like the Christians who deal with the sinner, instead of dealing with the sin. If we deal with the sin, then we overcome. But you see, the sin connects two people who perform it. Okay? Both the devil and the individual who have done that. And when we come to corruption, is the one who is giving and the one who is receiving. Both of them are parties to it. Kenyans are part of the giving.
They are part of the problem.
They are part of the problem. There was a part of the giving. We are the ones who are handing out and forcing police officers to take our corruption when they say tuko na operation, namwambia kuja kando chukua hii wacha maneno. Tuendelee na kazi. He's not paying for a certain sin that he has committed. Now that corruption, corrupt mind, now that's what I wanted to bring it to individual. We must see it from that point, that we are not dealing with the right enemy. We are dealing with the wrong enemy. We are supposed to be dealing with ourselves, because it's supposed. Kenyans are the ones who are supposed to conduct a soul search, thorough soul search, and say, I'm not going to involve myself in this. What would it cost me to wait for 21 days and give them another week to become 28 days to get my passport? But because I want it tomorrow, I end up paying, because I was told, if you see that guy, you'll get it tomorrow. You know, that's how we do it. So when we are blaming the politicians, really, is it really the politicians who are corrupt? We are all corrupt. The politician does not spend CDF money without using some Kenyans. So it is Kenyans. We are supposed to deal with ourselves individually, purpose to do things the right way. Secondly, I do not have to subscribe to Rigathi Gachagua, who is a friend of mine. I don't have to subscribe to his all-time principles. Only on this issue I have agreed with him. Certain issues I've agreed with him. But there are certain issues would go wrong, and I would say that's not for me. You know, the same thing with the president, who I voted for and campaigned for strongly. I mentioned here, even that time when the government was still fresh, that if he sticks to that lane, then he will be assured and guaranteed for 2027. This is the same thing that that I repeat right now. Since he went off the track, definitely 2027 may be tricky. But let's see, why it would be tricky that he would continue is because ODM is there to support these same ills that we are talking about. ODM does not complain, because our time was stretched. We are complaining even in Parliament.
I wanted to tell my opinion here.
Really?
The fact that I'm a member of the ODM party,
Absolutely,
from 2005,
it's rightfully so,
does not mean that I don't have my independent mind and integrity as a leader. That does also mean that I must do everything or subscribe to anything the party leader says. No. I have my own independent mind, and I know when to do the right thing and no. When the ODM party call for demonstration, if I don't see any sense in it, I will not go. Because I tend to ask myself, what does we tend to achieve? Or is it just a mere going for someone to achieve something, not minding the masses? I don't go. That is me. When I complain about Sifuna, the problem I have about Sifuna, I don't like people who speak with the double standard. If you stand for something, you better stand for something. When Babu Owino, the Embakasi East Member of Parliament, says that I will never support the presidency of William Ruto, He has never changed, even for a single day. I've never even seen him anywhere the ODM and UDA deal is happening. Even during the signing of MOU at the KICC, Babu Owino was not there. And what was impeachment? Even during the impeachment motion, he was not there because he didn't see any sense in it. That is what I talk of quality of a leader. And where was your friend Edwin Sifuna? Didn't you not see Edwin Sifuna during the signing?
Yeah, he was there.
Why would you sign if you
as a secretary?
Who forced you? Must you be the secretary gen to? You know, that's where the problem comes. When Raila joined President William Ruto, majority of the ODM member of the supporters of Raila feel betrayed, and they were so much disappointed because that was the least they were expecting. You understand? Because they feel that this is someone that we've seen as a leader. This is someone that almost come out and tell Kenyans, if today is part of this government, he must somehow come out and talk about this RSF, yes. and even the deal with the Kenyans, because Raila always tell Kenyans that kuna kitu haiendi mzuri. But now that is part of the problem. He cannot even talk. Okay? And now we have leaders that those who are around him that cannot even have independent mind. I was telling you today, if Sifuna stand by the people for the people, what is stopping him from saying, Baba, I cannot follow this, even if it means me going out of ODM, so be it. I will serve the people of Nairobi as a senator, and I will use my integrity and my independent mind, notwithstanding my position as the Secretary General of ODM. Okay? But you cannot tell us that I'm here because I'm the Secretary General. My friend, you are part of that nonsense which is happening in that government. If today the Embakasi's member of parliament says that I'm not being part of this, he meant it. That is what I'm talking of as a leader. You cannot say that. You say it, you stand and you stick with it. Not that one time, I'm here as a member of parliament, the next time I'm here as a person. No, my friend. You must have a stand. Okay? So let's not like you're right. You're actually right. Because actually, if by the end of the day, if ODM and maybe this government, the other time I listened to Sifuna, and let me tell you one thing. When Sifuna was with William Ruto, no, I think he was with the Kimani Ichung'wah. He says that if you will not fulfill the 10 agenda we sign, ODM will work. Then I tend to ask myself, so what if they fulfill their agendas? So ODM will be part of this. And is that what you are telling us? Remember, and we are Kenyans, are we happy with what is happening? Remember, he was talking on behalf of the party leadership while he was campaigning for the AU seat. Allow me. When he's talking on behalf of the party leadership, we need to scrutinize the Moredi says, and I agree with him, he was talking on behalf of the party's leadership. Which means he subscribed to everything, every nonsense he was obligated within the party. Today I'm talking on behalf of Fred. He was obligated to speak on what Fred would have said on behalf of the party. But if what Fred thinks and says does not go well with me, I will not talk on your own behalf. I will tell you, Fred, go talk for yourself. Yes. But the moment I agree to talk on your own behalf, my friend, it's like tunafikiria the same thing. Okay. We 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Thank you. Thank you for agreeing. At least he's 30 seconds. Yes. I'm still within my 30 seconds. He's among the gentlemen who are beginning to see the light from ODM and in achieving that independence of thought from a party that was bound from both what to think and what to say. I think what is happening, I think it's for Kenyans to wake up and get out there and speak out. Much as we try to be gagged, not to say some things, not even to think about what the government is doing, I don't think there's anything that is there for me to celebrate when I see my government involved in bloodshed in Congo, or maybe in a country like Sudan. I think it's time we rise to our feet and be counted. 30 seconds. Just in conclusion, I will say this, Kenyans. If we are not happy with the current affairs and the government, if by any chance in 2027 we will allow this government to have another term, then we don't have any right to complain or even to demonstrate. Let us just wait. That's right. Sawa, we got to bring down the curtains on the show. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I hope you got something out of the conversation that was going on. Nimepitisha wakati.
Do have yourself a lovely morning. Remember at 11:30 we're going to have Gatuzi, and then at 2 we look at the scoreboard. Manchester United walipigwa mabao. That's what akina Manu will be talking about. I'm very, very sure. So, see you then.